All right, a happy Sunday to everyone out there, and we are going to do a little bit of a Kyrie Irving trade video. Ironically, I updated all my trade guides, my roster breakdown last night. The pre-Kyrie Irving trade to Dallas is up on ESPN.com if you want to review it, and I will have to be making changes tonight, and we'll have a fresh batch out tomorrow, which is Monday here. I was actually going to tape a Irving trade primer that I was gonna put out as far as a video on Monday to kind of give you the lay of the land as far as where things stood. Now we are doing a Kyrie Irving trade to Dallas for Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris to Dallas for Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith. The Nets get a 2029 unprotected first, a 2027 second, a 2029 second. They create a trade exception, two trade exceptions of $5 million and $1.8 million. They also create about $28 million in tax savings. Their luxury tax bill is now around $80 million. The Mavericks take back Kyrie Irving, who is going to be a free agent this offseason. We'll go into all the specifics. Markieff Morris. Brooklyn had to send out a player because they had 15 players under contract. I think let's just start with the Irving since Friday, because everybody was linked to. He was linked to the Lakers. When you kind of take a deep breath and you look at the lay of the land, kind of where the Nets were. The 2 first-round picks that the Lakers had to offer, Russell Westbrook, whatever young players, did nothing for the Nets. That did not. Draft picks do not do anything for Brooklyn based on with Kevin Durant still on this roster. Now, you can make the argument, do draft picks with a third team, does that help get another player or 2 players that can help? Potentially, but that is complicated here. So I never bought into, and I know we talked about it at length on Friday just because the Lakers were the hot topic. But when you kind of take a deep breath and you look at it, I thought when you look at the 4 teams that mentioned, the Lakers were probably 4th on the list just based on what they had to offer in a deal. I thought the Clippers had a compelling argument based on some of their younger players, Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard. We don't know if Mann was actually involved in the conversation. Certainly Phoenix was interesting just based on all those expiring contracts and draft picks here. And then here was Dallas. I mentioned it in the trade guide. I would not have done Tim Hardaway Jr. I wouldn't have done Reggie Bullock. Maybe I would have thought about it. Christian Wood. I think certainly Spencer Dinwiddie, who's under contract for another season. Dorian Finney-Smith. A first. When you look at Dallas couldn't trade a first until 2 years after the Knicks pick is conveyed. So now you're starting. They could have done 27, but they elected to do 29, and then the two seconds. As for Irving, okay, he's got a $2 million trade bonus. We've talked about it at length. The Nets are responsible for the trade bonus. They will pay Kyrie Irving $2 million unless he amends his contract, and that comes with a big stipulation. That money is applied to his cap hit for the Mavericks. So as you can see, we have behind the breakdown. So the Mavericks cap hit on Irving is $38.9 million. It goes up from that $36.9 million from his base number. He also has some bonuses in his deal. Markieff Morris was added in the deal because it had to be a 2 for basically Brooklyn had to send out a player. For the future of Kyrie Irving, okay, he is eligible. If he does not amend his trade bonus, which I would think he is not, to sign a 2-year, $83 million extension with the Dallas Mavericks. That is the maximum that he can sign with the Mavericks. They incur as bird rights. So if Kyrie Irving thinks he can get more than 2 years, he'll be eligible to sign a 5-year max with the Mavericks. I don't see that happening. He could also sign anywhere from 1 to 4, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and 4 years here. Is there a risk involved? Of course, there's any time a risk involved when you trade 2 players that are under contract for a player on an expiring. However, in this case here with Luka and Jason Kidd, got to make Jason Kidd, who's a big part of it, and there's a relationship already with Kyrie. The risk is that Irving leaves for nothing and you just traded away a first, 2 seconds, and 2 players under contract. However, as our Tim McMahon tweeted out, how the Mavericks cap situation, looks for next year. If Irving leaves for nothing, this Dallas team will be close to having max money, something they did not have before this trade. So you can go out and go free agent shopping for that next star. Maybe it's James Harden next to Luka, or Chris Middleton, or Fred VanVleet, or another, another one of these A-list players. So that's you're either going to bring back Irving on a contract on your terms, or you are going to be able to create that max type money. You basically, if you moved off that contract of Reggie Bullock and maybe a JaVale McGee here, you're going to be sitting at max money here. So that's it from the Mavericks perspective here. Does it help their roster now? Yes. Let's face it. As much as, everything that off the court regarding Kyrie Irving, he is playing like an all-NBA player right now. He is an all-star. He's having one of the best seasons of his year. He has been, there's been no injuries, certainly the suspension here. And him and Luka will form a dynamic backcourt for the next 4 or 5 months here. We'll wait and see as far as what happens after that. Markieff Morris, as I mentioned, is on a 1-year expiring contract at the league minimum. The Mavericks, because they're taking back more salary, their luxury tax bill goes up to $61 million. I tweeted out, but regarding Irving, there was so much speculation that, well, if Kyrie Irving doesn't get traded, he's just going to hold out in Brooklyn. I mean, there was things written about it. There was people talked about it. If Irving held out with Brooklyn, or let's say in Dallas, he doesn't want to report to Dallas. It's called withholding services. So if he withholds for more than 30 years and he's in the last year of his contract, he forfeits the right to become a free agent, right? So if he held out, he would not become a free agent unless the Nets gave permission to do so. So that's a deal breaker, and the Players Association would certainly have jumped in here, and that would have been you don't do that, right? So he wasn't going to hold out in Brooklyn unless he just wants to sit at home for the next 4 years. He's not going to hold out in Dallas unless he wants to sit out and sit at home for the next 4 years here. So we can end the speculation that Kyrie Irving is going to hold out. As far as from Brooklyn's perspective, it was paramount to get players back that were under contract. You get a draft. You get the draft picks, 3 assets here. You create a 2 trade exceptions, $5 million and $1.8 million. You create the luxury tax savings, right? You get Spencer Dinwiddie, who's having a borderline all-star type season and is under contract for another season, is not a free agent. He's extension eligible this upcoming offseason. You get a guy in Dorian Finney-Smith who's basically on a mid-level type exception, is 3-and-D, can make open shots, can defend here. You get 2 players that are under contract, and you can now maybe quiet down the Kevin Durant trade speculation that, Durant's not going to be happy if Kyrie Irving gets traded. If I'm Kevin Durant, and I say, it's not like we got Russell Westbrook back. We got 2 players that can help us now and that are under contract for next season. It's not cap flexibility, okay? It's 2 players. You get a starting point guard, and you basically get a starting 3 or 4 or another guy that can come off your bench. It is a win-win for the Nets. They check off all the boxes, and I like it for Dallas too. Sometimes you got to take a little bit of a risk, and I think Kyrie Irving he's worth the risk, but we'll wait and see as far as what the contract is going to be here. So that's my take on Dallas and Brooklyn. I've got a flight to catch because I am going to ESPN. I thought we were going to be doing Kyrie Irving up until Thursday for trade deadline week. I've got a pack. I haven't even done that yet. And that is the skinny on the Kyrie Irving, Spencer Dinwiddie trade, Dorian Finney-Smith for the Mavericks perspective. I like it, but of course there's risk as far as if you can re-sign him. If not, you have max money. From the Nets, 2 players that can help you now, try to keep you in that top 4, top 5 of the Eastern Conference. two players that are under contract for next year. Remember, the Nets were going to be over the salary cap if Irving walked. So you got him for, you got players that can help you right now. So that's my spiel on that. Hopefully everyone is having a good day, and we will talk soon.